Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Football Manager 2020 Zero to Hero series starring the Youth Factory FC. It's episode number 8, and we're just about to mid-season now of our third season and our first year in the 9th tier. We are leading the league. We're up by 8 points. It's definitely not as decisive as it was a season ago, but things are looking pretty good. We still have a plus 40 goal differential. We've only had 2 draws. Both of them 0-0, and 3 losses. 2 of those 3 by just a goal, and 2 of the 3 on the road. 12 wins overall, and a lot of them have been pretty dang comfortable. 6 goals, 5 goals, 4 goal wins throughout most of those. In fact, only 2 wins this season have been by just 1 goal. Squad looking pretty good. We've had a couple little injuries, but otherwise they continue to develop. You can see Matthews and Williamson-Toyne have hit that magic 100 now in the development phase. So for Nicky Matthews, he's actually getting even faster, the 17-year-old is. Mental attributes looking pretty good. It's the technical ones that seem to be lagging behind for most of the players. And I think a lot of that comes down to the lack of coaching within the team. Though in that department, we are inching our way towards getting better. Brennan's made some good progress, a 92 here in the last little bit. He's still the only one who remains with low morale, who is unhappy by his situation of not being allowed to move to a higher level. Dean Moffat definitely looking better now. He's made some steady improvement this last year, though he is in need of a rest. He's been a bit jaded. You see he's only at 81% right now, while everybody else is in the high 90s. Wonder if we can let's go ahead and try to fix that. He needs a break. Let's see if we can give him one game off. Rest player. There you go. Rest you for the next match. Awesome. Hopefully that actually happens. It would suck if he isn't automatically rested as we push through. Okay, so on the staff front, we are now looking pretty dang good for the league, even with just 2 coaches on staff and a single physio. After moving up, we clearly were at a bit of a disadvantage, but our fellow coach and the new coach we brought in, and then myself, have all improved this year. As for myself, well, I went and got that next coaching license. We now have a National B license. We didn't have it at the beginning of the season. We were still finishing that course, but now that it's done, we've pushed our reputation out to 1 full star now. So it continues to rise 20%. And attribute-wise, after getting that in, you can see the development continues. These were all 1s just 2 seasons ago. So we've got a 6-7, another 7-6-6 in these departments. We're up to a minimum of 3. We're up to a minimum of 3 here outside of the adaptability, which really makes no difference on this playthrough at all. But we are up to 7s in man management and motivating. Even our knowledge within England, which doesn't matter, it's scouting, so we're not using it. But all of that is coming along. That reputation of ours and that ability, it's now about a 48 as it continues to climb up, so we're just about a quarter of the way there to maxing out our abilities, but that current reputation up to nearly 4,000 now out of a possible 10,000 from a 1. So we are starting to develop a pretty dang good reputation, and really all that matters for is respect from the players. But that'll allow us to maintain that as we go forward. The club, well, It's going to take, I think, till the end of the year to see a significant change in any way, but the reputation is growing. It's up to a 458. It's also out of 10,000, so they have a long, long ways to go as a group. My reputation's come up much quicker, and I suppose that's how that works, right? Clubs, it takes decades to develop a reputation, unless you're like RB Leipzig, that go from the 5th tier to the 1st tier because of money in a very short period of time, because they circumvent the 50+1 rule in Germany. Look it up if you don't know what it is. But club attendance, that has ultimately remained the same, and maybe that's because of the facilities that, again, have no chance to move the town, which was in the wrong town. We've got nearly $2 million in the bank now, so that's progress. We're looking good on that in those finances, right? As we push to 1.9 million now, we're bringing in solid income every month. This spike was the sell of Dyer, but otherwise we're consistently bringing in over 100,000 monthly now, and it was around 90,000 for pretty much since the beginning of last season. The first season was relatively low, but since the beginning of last season, we are kind of rolling in grant money that's really boosting us up. And even with the tax bill that we picked up this year that raised our expenses a bit, and even now, 9th tier, right? You can see we're spending more, and this is mostly about maintaining our youth status. It's still, income's way higher than expenditure. In terms of competitions, we've got a game in hand on a lot of teams, but not the second place team right now, but we're looking good towards promotion. We did get knocked out of the FA Cup pretty early, and we have a rematch here in the 4th round against the team that won the cup a year ago and knocked us out in the semifinal. So that's actually a pretty big match coming up for us, but it looks like it's not going to be for quite a while yet. Not until January do we play that next round of the tournament. Let's go ahead and move forward in time. We'll see how things go. Right now, outside of the rest and a couple guys 1 yellow away, the team is the healthiest it's been all season right now. Williamson Toyne has trailed off from his 1 goal per game record, but he's still playing well. Nicky Matthews, in 37 goals in 27 matches, continues to just kind of storm through, and Scott Frame, with the crossing ability that he has as a fullback in this formation, just continues to pile on assist after assist, and Wilkinson, his counterpart on the other the right side, doing pretty well himself. A week into January, Williamson, Toyne, Matthews both over 100 now. We got some others in the 90s, 80s. It's still not a complete team by any means, though. We need more players. Eddie Warren spent a spell away from the team on another one of those random free transfers, this time to Dunstan, where he went on to make 3 appearances there. Not a fan of that one, but whatever. Game keeps doing it to me every once in a while, and we brought him back, so it's fine. We're still game in hand on our foes. A lot of this right now coming down to waterlogged pitches. It's been a really wet season here, and we've missed multiple games in recent weeks. We have an 8-point lead even with a game in hand, 15 wins now. We continue to pile on big ones, but we did add another loss, 3-4 at home to Stockton. So hasn't been perfect through this stretch, but over the last month and a half, just the 1 loss to go for us. We did just play Briscoe to a 0-0 draw on the road in that FA Vase match, so we're going to have to do a replay at home against them, which we should be the favorite for, but hopefully we can actually pull that off because they did upset us a year ago. We're up over 2 million on the books now, so that's all good. And now that it's January, each of the last couple of years it's been March before we got the youth intake, but it's supposed to be random every year, anytime between January through March. So we've been at the later end each of the last 2 years. Maybe it'll be a little bit earlier this year, but it's definitely still going to be a little ways out. Our U18s finally succeeded in not losing a match for the very first time as they continue to develop and grow as a group. They've been close throughout the season, but they did have... that's just past meetings with Middlesbrough. Matches. Hey, there it is. Yeah, there you go. Everton 1-1. So Gary Duncan scoring, and they were so close to winning too. It was stoppage time. But that was the very first time that they've managed to not lose. They're winning their friendlies. Pretty much every friendly match that they play, though. Oh, look at that. They beat Tottenham in the cup group 1-0. So they have had a win. But in league, the U18 Division 1 North, and that was the first time that they finally got a point. Though their record is much better than a year ago. Much better. Doesn't mean it's good. It's just that goal differential. It's not, minus 70. This time it's minus 30. Actually, it might have even been worse than that. Ed Morgan, really improving well. How's he looking? 17-year-old striker. He's finishing as a 12. That's nice. But he's still pretty slow. Just 1.5 star guy. And that's the thing about a lot of these players is they're not going to develop. They're not going to be good enough. We're just going to get the occasional ones coming along, and that's how it works when you grow your own players from home. You're going to get a lot of guys that are decent enough to play U18s or U23s, but not to contribute on the senior squad. And you can already see it in what we have with 6 or 7 quality players. We need to get that to where we can get to 11 plus quality players competing for positions. I think we're still a season or two away from that happening. I really hope in our youth intake for this year that we do manage to get at least one central midfielder that is a quality player, because we have failed to do so through the first 2 youth intakes, and that area of the pitch is still a real struggle for us. The guys that are there right now aren't the worst ever, but they are far from the level. John Gray's a 43 of 48. He's nearly reached his potential, and he would be the first player to do so for me. I've not had one as of yet who has gotten anywhere near, and he is getting pretty near. And there's his counterpart, Brad Catton, who's not far from it either. His potential just 51, and he's almost caught up to John Gray here. And that's the best of the best. Curry, White, the backups. We've, of course, used Moffat in the midfield to help boost it, but now that Dyer's gone, we have an absence at center back that can't afford to leave vacant. So he's pushed back into the defense again. Matthews up to 45 goals now. He's approaching 50 for the season. It's still only January. Looking really good there. And you can see a lot more diversity in assists. Eddie Warren, though, we lost his stats with him disappearing for a while. And can't really take that reliably either, as he was gone. But most of his stuff was off the bench. I mean, like Gregory here with his 4 and 25. Hopefully we can manage to get past Briscoe in the replay, but otherwise nothing new happening for a while. It looks like as long as things don't change drastically, we should stay on top of the league through the remainder of the season. But 8 points is only 8 points. Game in hand, 2 games in hand on Consett. That helps. But we're far from a guarantee currently, especially if we lose another player or two this month. It's only just the beginning of February, so a month? Not even quite a month down the road, but things have changed. Things have changed drastically. First off, we've caught up on those games behind that we were. We're now 13 points clear, so the league's looking good. All wins during that stretch, and we continue to win in the FA Vase as well, getting deeper and deeper in that tournament. So on that side, straight wins, that's all good. But that's where the goodness really stops. We've had a very drastic change in a couple of ways. Williamson Toyne, out injured now for a month to 2 months, just a few days ago. Torn growing muscle. And this one comes down largely to two factors. One of them is my absence and going on vacation and having an assistant manager who doesn't know when to, doesn't properly know, the AI doesn't properly know when to rest a player. They're supposed to play the starting lineup if the starting lineup can play. He was actually injured and not cleared, but it was a minor injury. The assistant manager played him anyway, and he tears his growing muscle, makes the light injury a whole lot worse. So we're without our second best player for the next foreseeable future. And then it gets even worse, but I suppose good in one way. We have lost Ethan Brennan to Nottingham Forest for a now record transfer fee of $250,000, which is great. It was transfer deadline. It was down to the last minute, and, well, not even last minute. It was just about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But within about an hour, we went from his customary bid, which was somewhere around $10,000, to the bids just started exploding with teams outbidding one another again and again and again and again. And then all of a sudden, somewhere around $200,000, the club owner started saying yes to every deal. We actually did end up with an offer for $450,000, but the offer that Ethan Brennan accepted was the one from Nottingham Forest, and that one was only $250,000. That's bad business. That's really bad business by our team owner to accept all of those deals forcibly and take the one that's $200,000 less than what he could have had, considering the only reason why he did it in the first place was because of the amount of money involved. So, poor piece of business on his front, but okay, fine. Matthews is pretty ticked off by it now, so he's not happy that we are decreasing our depth. We've lost 2 of our 4 best players, roughly, this season to big transfer deals that haven't been turned down, and now we are definitely getting a bit thin in terms of quality as we're down to really just 3 to 5 players that are above this level trying to carry the team now, and one of them injured means it could be kind of a rough stretch for us. Reputation growing slightly. I think we've gone up by maybe 40, but it's only been a few weeks. 3-4 weeks. I'd like to see something come through before the end of the year on that deal with building a new stadium so we can get on with it, because it's going to take a while. It's going to cost us a lot, but we've got well over $2 million, and that doesn't pay for a stadium by any means, but for a small club like what we have right now, hopefully just whatever they do has room for a lot of expansion. And because we are working with perfect facilities, while I won't improve it in every possible way, it'll remain as perfect facilities, so it'll obtain that part. Whatever capacity is, we're not going to mess with that, but it'll bring it back home instead of outside of Newcastle, where the former club in the Creative Club replaced. Definitely far ways away from Carlisle. Northeast versus Northwest. But we're now at 2.4 million, so bank balance is good. I'm a little bit concerned now that we are down 3 of our best players since the beginning of the season. 27 matches in and a 13-point lead might be enough of a gap to hang on and get the promotion. And with a youth intake coming somewhere soon, we might get that 1 or 2 players to kind of replace and get us back on the same level and continue our upward trajectory, so maybe we're okay. One thing that hasn't helped lately is that vacancy in the lineup plus the injury, so those 2 spots getting filled randomly each match. I feel it's time I do something with that, but what to do is a whole nother matter. You can see our whole team is pretty much 17, 18, and just a couple 19-year-olds now in terms of those that are actually playing. Warren is very much a fullback or right-sided guy, and I'm thinking that switching him with Tom Gregory, who's a little bit more versatile, will help us out. So, that's what I want right back. And then Gregory can kind of play as a center mid, and John Gray can then take over the attacking position. That's not working. Oh, okay, fine. There you go. So we'll move you up. Warren's going to play... Oh, that's Wilkinson. Gregory's already on the bench. Okay, well, anyway, it is... Where'd he go? Oh, I saw him. Ah, there you go, Tom Gregory. Move him into the midfield, and you can see that he is not strong there at all, but he has some ability to play there, and I'm going to actually go into his individual... There it is. I want him to start training as a midfielder, and let's see, his tackling is pretty decent, so we can make him a ball-winning midfielder. And that'll take care of that. Now, as for Williamson Toyne, he's actually due to be back relatively soon, so that should help us out a little bit. Eddie Warren definitely needs to be in the side, and from there, I was actually thinking it's time we make a call up like Dean McKinnon. Highest potential guy in our U18s right now. He's only a 51. He's not developing well. He's very unambitious, but if we can bring him up, put him into the senior squad, and then maybe, just maybe, it'll work itself out that he trains up with a group of guys and gets a little bit better. So for now, we'll put him on the bench, but I think he'll be taking over for John Gray very soon, and actually maybe he should right now. Gray's only well, he's had a 7 for the whole year, but lately just a 6. You can see a lot of these guys, their form has dipped recently. It's late February. We should be really close now to... we certainly have a decent gap here. We should be close now to our youth intake, and so we'll stop again on whenever that happens. youth intake has finally happened. And at least according to my assistant coach, none of the players look great. You got Paul Aitken, who is nearly adequate right now to join the team as a central defender and could play in the midfield, possibly. Looks like we have a decent goalkeeping prospect, but overall, this group not looking too good. And we'll see. We'll see what we end up with here. Bosnia. Yeah, wow. Okay. Not sure how we got him into the side. Let's wait. Eager to see what happens with this one. We will be wrapping up this episode here with this youth intake, but we'll see the game, check out the players. Liverpool leading the Premier League this season. Newcastle leads in the automatic promotion spot, and that's the season done. No, that would be their season done, not theirs. They still have another 8 matches to play. Northampton's already secured a promotion playoff position. Charlton as well. Sunderland there, just a couple points down. Wolves up in 7th. FA Vase semi-final coming up later this week. Oh, this is advance. Send the assistant. I don't have time for that. Anderson, Ball, both receiving national team call-ups, youth teams anyway. Oh, we could secure the title in the next one? No, I'm not going to talk to them about that. No need to make them nervous. Come on now, I want to see this match. There it is. Now, this is the first time we have kind of a legitimate matchup. You can see the current U18s. I really only have 2 players that are at that 1.5 star level right now. Never mind. Alright, here we go. Sides playing which one? The regular U18s are in the home purple. The candidates are in the green. And we'll begin to take a look at those players as the game goes on. Gallagher, the 1.5 star, 2.5 star potential, at least according to our assistant. Could make a contribution as a new backup at the position, though I think he's about on par with the current backup. That actually looked pretty good. Not sure what the call was for. Oh, nice goal there. Jack Owens. Nice ball from Williams. Poor marking. You can see that it's pretty balanced. It looks like the youth candidates actually could be a little stronger. Which does make sense to an extent, right? The new players coming in should be really good, and Some of them, at least. A few, maybe, might be ready for the senior team. That's a pretty decent amount of skill here by Rory Burton. And he's a center midfielder. Needs to work on that jumping reach and his strength. Nice, decent ball in. Ugh, that was a poor ball. Right on the edge of the box, free kick. Going the other way. She has to run. Nice tackle from Cook. Stevenson. Bit off on that cross. Poor tackle attempt. Anderson should have done better. Most of these guys are checking in at being decent, but none of them are great. Good turnover there from Owen. Uses the sideline, gets the run. Nice ball inside. Jones. Good chance there. Straight at the keeper, though. And from pretty far out. Kenny takes that one back well. Offside. Oof. Poor in that moment. McKernan. Decent physical. He's got a long ways to go on the mental attributes. Oh, penalty. Uzachukwu gives that away. That is a terrible penalty take straight at the keeper. It's really the worst thing you could do is kick it straight at him. And I know there's some players out there that do that intentionally, assuming that the keeper is going to dive one way or another. But anytime the keeper's patient, tries to read it, make the save instead of guessing, that's a stop 100% of the time. And then it's more of just an intimidating factor if they kick it right down the middle and the keeper dives out of the way. Fitness-wise, the youth candidates looking a lot better. But I have no idea. U18s might have just played a match. I didn't see what their fitness was entering the match. Ooh, takedown in the box. Surprised that didn't get called. It wouldn't have been a penalty. It was the other way. Nice ball over the top. Oh, Anderson was offside, though. Better team. Looks like they're going to lose this one. But I did notice that we didn't have any forward prospects that were any good. So they're creating better chances, but they're not finishing. Good thing for us is we already have Matthews right now. And fortunately, he hasn't got anywhere yet. Actually, technically, I guess he has a couple seasons ago. Nice ball over the top. Oh, own goal, Devitt. In stoppage time, too. Chance to take the win on this free kick. That was the final play. Headed it over the bar. Alright, let's get out of here. And let's see. Hold on, before we come back into that. Sign the... Wow, they only recommend 5 players? Oh no. Sorry. 8. Alright, so here's what we have in terms of ability... potential anyway. Aitken, Owen, Forbes, plenty of guys with a decent amount of potential. Nothing fantastic this year though. Nothing. But most of the players with some amount of potential. This is the worst class we've had of the 3 so far, but we knew they weren't all going to be great. And that's also pretty sad that the best player right now is just a 58, so none of these players are coming in ready to make an impact, which does hurt our chances the rest of the season. Not quite a guarantee, though it looks like we are on the verge of winning the league, so we'll at least see that promotion. But next season, certainly not looking like a sure thing at all that we're going to see a back-to-back-to-back. Especially if we lose another player or two, or if we see some injuries. With some development, with increased reputation, some better coaching, maybe we'll see that development come up and see guys kind of start filling in those gaps. But yeah, this is not the greatest group. But there is some potential there, and they'll help us. They'll make us stronger, and I think now this added depth, a lot of these older guys are going to start pushing up to the U23s, even some of these younger ones, maybe a few into the senior squad. But I can definitely see us now removing all but a couple of those original players that are just garbage. We're going to let all these guys go just about, keeping maybe just a few around. So that change is definitely coming. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.